Members of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, headed by William Burns, recently visited some African countries, including Kenya and Somalia, and held meetings with them amidst growing tensions in the Horn of Africa. The trip was confirmed by the Kenya and Somali governments only after Burns had returned to the U.S. Until then, the CIA has yet to issue an official statement about the visit, if at all it will. In today's video, we shall be looking at reasons why the U.S. continues to spy on Africa despite her independent status. Make sure you are comfortable enough to savor all we've prepared for you in this special package. It is important to know what CIA does to better understand what we shall be talking about. Their role is to oversee all intelligence activities, including collection, analysis, covert action, counterintelligence, and liaison relationships with foreign services. However, their real actions seem to go beyond what is on paper. What prompted the visit of the CIA director to Africa? On January 16, William Burns met President Ruto at the State House in Nairobi, Kenya, in what has been termed a high-level talk, which was also attended by the U.S. ambassador to Kenya, Margaret Whiteman, and the Director General of Kenya's intelligence, Nordin Haji. Later after the meeting, the CIA director met with the Somali president, Hassan Sheikh Mohamud in Mogadishu, before departing to the United States. Somalian news outlets say the two discussed regional issues of mutual interest and enhancing Somalia-U.S. strategic partnership in critical areas, including the fight against international terrorism. Burns, a former diplomat who was a deputy secretary of state in the Obama administration, visited Somalia at a time of heightened tensions after Houthi attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea. Bear in mind that on January 12, the CIA chief also visited Libya, meeting Prime Minister Abdulhamid al-Deiba in Tripoli. Deiba's Government of National Unity announced the visit on its Facebook page, posting a picture of Burns and Deiba together. Other sources close to the eastern Libyan commander, Khalifa Haftar, said Burns had also met with him. Libya has had little peace since a NATO-backed uprising in 2011. Deiba's government was installed through a UN-backed process in 2021 as part of a peace plan, but his administration is no longer recognized by the main political factions in the east, and many Libyans fear a new bout of warfare. The U.S. previously said it was worried about the role played by Russia in Libya's conflict and fears continued instability in the OPEC member, which would impact global energy supply and give space to Islamist militant groups. While both sides did not divulge specific details on the tasks, Kenya remains a significant ally of the U.S. in regional security matters. It is highly unusual for a senior American intelligence official to personally visit sub-Saharan Africa, as the CIA typically communicates with the local governments through station chiefs or American ambassadors. Burns' in-person visit suggests compelling reasons for the direct engagement. Some Kenyan news outlets have reported that discussions encompass the escalating instability in sub-Saharan Africa, which stems from different sources. These include the ongoing conflict in Sudan between government-aligned forces and militias loyal to the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Burns, who had previously served as a diplomat, expressed his regret upon assuming his role, stating that the U.S. does not devote enough to Africa as they should. I know you are probably asking why they should, given that all African countries had long gained their independence. The timing of his visit coincided with the 5th anniversary of the Dusit D2 terror attack in Nairobi, which took place in 2019 and resulted in the demise of 22 individuals, including an American citizen. This incident led to the establishment of the first Joint Terrorism Task Force in Nairobi the following year. The Joint Terrorism Task Force is the first multi-agency investigative force outside of the U.S., tasked with leading counterterrorism efforts through the sharing of intelligence in the larger East Africa and the Horn of Africa. It is worth noting that the strategic significance of the Indian Ocean Rim for the U.S. has been hindered by the presence of non-state actors like al-Shabaab, presenting them with various challenges. To navigate this complex situation, officials from the FBI and Counterterrorism Bureau are undergoing training at the FBI Academy in Quantico, Virginia, in the U.S. Some US-based professionals argue that Kenya plays a vital role as a trusted ally and a key participant in gathering intelligence, analyzing data, conducting covert operations, countering threats, and proactively confronting shared adversaries. It is important to recognize and acknowledge Kenya's immense importance as a crucial actor in the Horn of Africa for the US. Does the US collect information from across Africa? The US certainly uses occasions like the recent visit of CIA's management to spy on the affairs of African countries. About a decade ago, General Carter Ham, the then commander of US Africa Command, revealed that the US military had conducted spy operations all over the continent as part of the fight against intercontinental adversaries. We are talking about al-Qaeda-allied terror groups that target the homeland to suspected war criminals like Joseph Kony. In an attempt to clarify press reports that the U.S. military had set up spy locations throughout Africa, Ham said that U.S. troops at times go on short-term deployments of capabilities in various African nations, but always with the permission of the host country. At times, the U.S. military uses small unarmed turboprop planes disguised as private charters to carry out sensitive intelligence collection. The CIA has planted more than 36 deep cover operatives in South Africa, and many of its agents work out of the U.S. Embassy in Pretoria. People are now saying the U.S. is using its spies to fuel what is happening in East Africa. You heard me mention at the start of this video that East Africa is currently in chaos. Countries in this part of the continent have been going against each other as if there is no future. Let's look at the case of Uganda. The Ugandan government took Kenya to an East African court because of fuel importation problems. All this was because Kenya denied Uganda a permit to operate in the country, as well as to export fuel. Burundi, on the other hand, closed its borders to Rwanda. President Ndayishimiye accused Rwanda of backing the DRC-based armed group against his government. The border between Rwanda and Burundi was closed for a long time, between 2015 and 2022. It was seen as a breakthrough when the border was reopened in 2022, but the fact that it has been closed again shows that there is an enormous amount of bad blood between the two states. Tanzania has also banned Kenyan flights for some time, but the ban was lifted this January 2024. They have also been at odds over economic and logistic issues in the past years. Despite both countries being part of the East African community, border checks and conflicts often resulted in occasional protests and unrest along their border. One of the most recent problems encountered in East Africa was Somalia's refusal to comply with Ethiopian Airlines because of a deal that the Ethiopian government made with Somaliland. Somalia rejected a pact with Ethiopia to allow it to use a major port with access to the Red Sea in turn for recognizing as an independent state, saying that the agreement had no legal force. Somalia, which views Somaliland as part of its territory, also summoned its ambassador to Ethiopia for deliberations over the agreement signed by Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Somaliland leader Muse Biambi. DR Congo also faces problems with Rwanda as we speak. Felix Tshisekedi has often accused Paul Kagame of Rwanda of backing rebels in the east of his country, which he has always denied. DR Congo's leader has taken his rhetorical attacks on his Rwandan counterpart to another level by comparing him to Adolf Hitler. Bear in mind that Hitler was responsible for the demise of many, including 6 million Jewish people in the Holocaust. He ended up taking his own life in a bunker in the German capital in 1945. His efforts to expand the German territory led to the Second World War. This is the person Kagame was compared to Felix Tshisekedi. However, President Kagame has been a dominant political figure in Rwanda since the end of the 1994 genocide, in which 800,000 people were terminated by ethnic Hutu extremists targeting the Tutsi minority. Washington's concerns also revolve around the continuing presence of al-Shabaab in East Africa. Al-Shabaab is an armed group that operates in Somalia and is associated with al-Qaeda. This group has carried out multiple terrorist attacks in Kenya since it came into being. The U.S. currently has about 500 military advisors in Somalia, supporting the Somali government in its efforts against al-Shabaab. With all this said, Do you not think that these advisors are working as spies? African governments are representatives of the people, but at times they act as if they are a separate class that can do without the people. Conversation between leaders and their subjects is important, especially in the long run. As a result of Cold War apprehensions and ongoing terrorist worries, the U.S. dominates Africa's intelligence environment. While its focus on threats like Boko Haram and China's expanding influence is appropriate, critiques about drone strikes, murky operations, and potential neo-colonialism cast a shadow. To create really advantageous alliances on this changing continent, the U.S. must strike a balance between security requirements and transparency, go beyond counterterrorism, and respect African agency. That's the only way the narrative of U.S. intelligence in Africa can change from a dark drama to a cooperative success story. As Africa increasingly expands its place in the global economy, the stakes relative to U.S. geopolitical interests are seemingly increasing as well. Do you support the surveilling attitude of the U.S. on Africa? Let us know your views in the comment section. While we draw the curtains to today's video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too, so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in our next video.